Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial we're trying to see how to build a very simple app with Streamlit. So we're building a summarizer and an entity checker with Streamlit. So let's see what we're building. So in case I go to this Wikipedia page, right, now copy this stuff here about Bill Gates. I want to summarize this particular stuff and identify the various entities within this particular test. So if I come back to here, I can just paste it inside here, and then I'll select the particular type of tool I want to use to do the summarization. Right, so I can use Gensim. So let's use Gensim, and I'll click on the summarize. It's going to analyze this particular test and then give me the right summary. Perfect. So that's giving me the summary, which is quite interesting, right, about the entire test, that which was very huge, but I summarized it perfectly for us. So that's not the only thing we can do. So we can go to the sidebar. I can select the particular kind of entity tool I want to use, right? I can do an activity by going with any NER checker to check for the entities within our test. So let's try that one. So it is automatically going to detect the particular test I initially placed there, and if I click on the analyze, I can actually analyze the various entities within this particular test. So analyzing test, then it's going to give me all the various entities within this test. Perfect. So this is going to give us all the various entities, so we can see that we had William Gates as a person, we also have America as a place, this as a date, and it's some interesting stuff, right? So this idea I got from one of the creators of Streamlit, and then as well as from Ines, right, one of the creators of SpaCy, and an interesting guy called J. Okay, let's see the other stuff you can also do. You can also fetch tests from a URL and then identify the various entities as well as a summary of them. So let's try that one with the NER for URL, and then we can do that. So let's copy another test, which is the same test that we had, or we can just choose another test like about the nativity of Jesus. So I can just copy this particular test that I have and then paste it inside the URL here. So let's paste it here, and then from here I can select the length of test I want to preview, and I will click on the analyze to analyze the entire test. So it's getting the test, then it's going to give us the various entities, right? So this is the full length of the entire test that I have from this particular Wikipedia page, and then we can also see the short preview. So this short preview or the short test is from the length of preview that I set, right? So I can increase the size as I want. Then it's going to give me the test, which is based on the short preview, and then it's going to give me the various entities by analyzing them perfectly for us. So let's see it even as it analyze and then give us the various entities within our test. Perfect. So it has given us all the various entities, so you can see that it's able to give us that Jesus is a person, Christ is a person, Luke is a GPE, some various interesting stuff. Christianity is an organization. Very, very interesting and very, very funny. Okay, so that's the basic idea behind this app. Let's see how to build this app from scratch. So I'm going to set up everything and we will start from beginning. Alright, so welcome back. So in this particular session, we're trying to see how to build this. So this is where we are working now. So I can check for the stuff there, which I have an empty file called app.py, which is referring to this particular file here, right, which is empty. So we're trying to work from beginning. So let's start. So just going to import our core package. So import Streamlit as st. Then you need some packages. We have some NLP packages. You have some summarization packages, summary packages, and then also have some web scrubbing packages. Right. So these are the various packages that you're working with, right? So let's see how to work with it. So these are the various packages we'll be working with. Now let's create our main function. So def main, then I can just go straight away with this. So let's go to summary app, summary, and then entity checker, right? Something very basic. Perfect. Then now let's go with st.title, then just pass in our summary and entity checker. Perfect. So that's something very basic done. And the next thing that we're just going to close our function with an if main, and then we can start. So let's run this particular app that we have. So I'm just going to go to the location that we have, then I'll just run it with Streamlit, run, then the name of app. Perfect. It's going to open it perfectly for us, and you open it and see how to do that. So whilst it's opening, let's check some other stuff we can do. So I'm just going to be working and create our choices. I don't know whether you can see it all. So we're going to create our simple choices. So you can see that it's opening here, right? So this is the URL that we're working with, so I'll just paste it here, right? So I'll paste it here, and then we see it perfectly working. So we're going to see the text that we had written here being shown perfectly here, right? That's the basic idea. Now let's see some other stuff you can do. So I'm just going to add some activities to it. So let's go to activities. That is the various activities to be using. I'm going to give it 3 different activities. We're going to have our summary or summarize. We're also going to have for the NER checker. Then the last one is going to be NER for URL. Like something very basic. So that's the basic stuff we have done so far. Then the next thing we need is that we need to be able to set a choice. So let's go to choice, then st.select. Let's make it a sidebar dot select box. Then I'll pass in, say, select activity, we reduce it a little, activity. Then we just supply our list, right, which is the activities list. Perfect. If I save it now and I come back here, let's always run so that we'll be able to see the various changes that it's given to us. So see that the sidebar has come, so I can just see the various activities. We have summarize, NER checker, and then NER for URLs. Perfect. So let's start building it. So we're going to say that if our choice is equal to summarize, then I want to do something, right? So st.subheader, then let's say that summary with NLP, right? Packages, right? Summary with Gensim and NLP. That's going to be the first stuff. Then we need to create a raw test. So that's called raw test. Then st.test area to receive our test, right? Let's go to enter test here. Then finally, we're just going to supply type here. Right? So if I save it now, we can just come back to our summarize, which is the place that we are right now. You can see that we have an option of being able to type something there, right? And it's going to work perfectly. So whatever we'll be typing here, we're going to store it inside a variable called raw test, and then we'll be doing all our processing with our raw test. That is the basic idea behind what we have done so far. Perfect. Then we need to create a button. So let's go to if st.button is equal to summarize, right? If that is the case, then we can just do our summarization stuff. So we'll be using some interesting packages, so I'll copy those packages so I'll be able to work with it. So let's go to st.write our test, our raw test, right? So that doesn't crash. So I'm going to copy and paste our summary packages here. So I'll paste it here, right? So this is the summary. So we are using Gensim and we are using Sumi to help us with our summarization. And I've also created a simple function. So this is a function. We are going to be using plain text parser. Then we're going to convert the text into strings, right? And then you're going to tokenize them using an English tokenizer. Then you are going to be using less ranker to do our summarization, right? Which is very, very interesting. You're going to join the various sentences together and then bring it out as our result. That's the basic idea behind the summary. Sumi summarizer, right? And you also have one for Gensim, which is quite simple with the summarize. So let's see how to work with it. So I can just come back to this place that I have, and then I can do our summary. So let's create a type. So let's go to summary type or choice. You can make it summary type or summary choice. The choice of summary that you want to choose. Go with st.select box. Then let's go to summary choice, right? The particular type choice that you want to use. Then I'll pass in my 2 variables. It can be a list. So I'm going to go with Gensim. Then the next one is going to be Sumi, right? Or can you make it Sumi less rank, something like that. You can add several summary packages to it. Then the next thing is that you can see that if our summary choice is equal to Gensim, then I want you to use Gensim to summarize it. So let's go to our summary result. It's going to be summarize, then I'll pass in my raw test, right? So the summarize, this summarize here is coming from Gensim here, right? That is the basic idea behind that. Perfect. Then we're also going to create another one for else if our summary choice is equal to Sumi less rank. If that is the case, then I want you to use our function that we created with the Sumi summarizer. Then I'm going to pass in our raw test. So we have been able to get two stuff from that, right? That is something very basic. Then we can bring our result back here. So we can just pass in here as summary result. So summary result, and let's save it. So if I save it now, let's try it and see whether it's going to work. So it's detecting the changes. So let's copy the famous test that we're using about Bugate. Just this test, let me copy it. Then we use that particular test to check and see whether it's working. So I'll copy this one, come back here, then let's paste it here, right? I'm going to paste it here. Now let's paste it. Everything is working as expected, but you realize that our choice has not been shown, right? This particular choice has not been shown. So let's save it again. It's supposed to show this particular choice. So let's bring this choice outside our button, right? Instead of it being within our button, let's bring it outside our button here, so that the person will be able to select the choice first before the person moves on, right? So we paste our button here. Okay, that's the basic idea. So now you can have the option of selecting a button by coming here. So that now I see that that's giving us the option of selecting the button or selecting the choice. So I can just choose Gensim or Let's Rank. Then I'll click on summarize. Then it's going to summarize it perfectly for us. Perfect. So they're going to give us the summary of our particular test. Very, very interesting. So we are done with one aspect of our app. Now let's move on to the next section of our app, which is going to be doing the NER checker, right? So we'll be using SpaCy to help us with that. So it's going to be if our choice is equal to NER checker. So this idea, as I said, I got it from Enes, as well as one of the creators of SpaCy and then Streamlit, which is a very interesting code, very, very nice, fascinating idea that Adrien was able to bring. Now let's see how to do that. So it's going to be st.subheader. Then I'll pass in, say, entity recognition, like recognition with SpaCy. I hope you have noticed the mistake, right? Recognition, right? Perfect. So that is something we can do. Then let's do the same thing that we have. We are going to be pasting in a test, right? So we'll be going and copying the same stuff we had here, which is also going to be the same test to receive the test. Then we can just go with if st.button is equal to, let's say, analyze or extract any of them. Then I want you to take the test and then do some stuff with it. So we have to work on, so this aspect here is going to be with SpaCy, right? It's going to be an NLP aspect in which you're going to be using SpaCy to extract the various entities from that. So let's see how to do that. So I'm just going to go to the top of my file and create a function to help us with that. So this function is going to be for NLP. So it's going to be def. Then let's call it as analyze test. And we're going to pass in our test. Then we're just going to make simple return NLP test, right? But I have to first of all define what NLP is by using it from here. So let's import SpaCy. So import SpaCy, then SpaCy NLP is going to be SpaCy dot load en. The en is the model that we'll be using, right? Perfect. Something very interesting. So we have been able to work with it. It's going to crash because we have not ended here, right? We have supposed to bring pass here, then later on it is going to work perfectly. So that is something very basic. So we have created an NLP object which we'll be using to do our natural language activity. So whatever the person passing the test, we are going to convert into an NLP object. Then we're going to do our entity extraction from that particular test. So we can use something very basic by using something like the st.cache. Then I can pass in this allow output mutation, right? At first it was ignore hash, but now in the current version it's supposed to be allow output mutation set to true. Perfect, right? So that is the basic idea for this particular function that you have created. Now I can actually bring my function here, then let's put it inside a particular test, right? So I'll pass off this and create a docs, which is going to take our analyze test. So analyze test, and I'll pass in my raw test. Very basic. Now the next aspect is that we have been able to get our test that has been analyzed converted to an NLP object. How do we extract the entities from it? So we'll be using SpaCy's wonderful ENT attribute to help us do that. But I also want to bring the entities in a very nice format. So that is where we're going to use displays. So we're just going to go to the top of our file, then go with from SpaCy import displacy. Perfect. Something very basic. Now we need to be able to create an HTML format to be able to render our displacy, right, or our entities in a very nice format. So let's see how to work with that. So we'll be using the idea that we got from Treuille, one of the creators of Streamlit, as well as from Ines and then Chapata, which is going to be this, right? So this is a simple HTML wrapper. It can be called anyhow. So this is, let me explain it. So this is just a simple HTML file, right? Simple HTML stuff, right? Simple HTML code with the auto border, with a pattern of this, a simple solid border radius and all of those stuff, and you are placing whatever code we'll be getting from our SpaCy inside this particular Ginger stuff, right? It's like, I think it's like Ginger, like for the format string or string formatting, we are putting everything inside our HTML wrapper. Very basic and very simple. Now you're going to come back to our location here, then you're just going to create and work on that. So you're going to call it as HTML, right? You can just call it any name that you want and use displacy.render. Then I'm going to pass in our docs, then the particular style. So style is equal to entity, right? Which is going to be ENTS, which can be inside this particular option. Right, so you're trying to tell us that you're going to do a rendering of entities with displacy. That's the basic idea. So it's entities, right? Ents, which is going to extract all the entities from our test and render it with displacy as an HTML. Very interesting. Then the next thing we are going to do is we're going to pass in this our HTML. So let's bring it out. So st.write our HTML, right? I want you to see the various HTML that it's getting from that particular stuff here. So it's analyzing it. Then let's go back to where we are, which was the NER checker. So from here, we are going to do some stuff, right? You're going to see the result that's given to us. So let's analyze it and see the result is given to us, how the HTML is being rendered. So it's analyzing it, and the reason it's given on this particular stuff is because we are using the cache right here, right? So it's making it interesting and making it easier for us to do, to see this particular warning. Quite nice and quite user friendly. So we said it's giving to us our result, but this result is not rendered raw, right? It is not rendered properly. It is giving us the real result, like we have date here, right? But it's not rendering it raw. So how do we fix this issue? So one of the ways of fixing this issue is to pass it inside our markdown. You can use markdown to do that, or you can use the normal st.try to help us do that. So let's see how to do that. So I'm just going to come back to the same place that I have here, then rearrange it all. So let's go to HTML, then the first one, HTML.replace, which replace all the lines to make it quite interesting, make it at least well arranged with a single line, right? A single new line. It's very simple. Then the next thing is that if I pass it now here, it's still going to give us the same result without changing anything, right? It's not going to change anything. There isn't no changing anything, that we are supposed to set the Streamlit to allow HTML, right, for it to be displayed. So if I run it now, you're not going to see any change. Perfect. See that now it's still giving us the same stuff there, right? But it's arranged it well, but it's giving us the same thing. So one of the ways of fixing it is that you can just go with unsafe, allow HTML is equal to true, right? This is the first method. So if I go with this, it's going to work. The next method is I can also do st.markdown, and then do the same stuff there, the same thing that we had there. You can also use either HTML with the st.write, which is a super function, or we can also use the markdown to also do the same stuff, right? So let's see the result. If I click on analyze, it's going to analyze it for us and give us the right result and make it quite interesting and nicer. So analyzing the test. Perfect. So now I see that it's very, very nice, right? It's quite nicer and better than the previous one, right? So the way or the secret of doing this is to use the unsafe allow is equal to true, right? And then using the code that one of the creators of Streamlit brought, right? Adrien brought. I don't know whether the name is correct. Okay. And then that is one way. We can also use markdown to do the same thing. So if I uncomment the st.write and I go with the markdown, it's also going to give us the same result, like the previous one with the st.write, because it's still HTML and it's being rendered with the markdown. Perfect. So that has given us the same result, right? Very, very interesting. So either use the st.write or st.markdown. So any of them is going to work. Now let's move on to the next session of working on the NER, right? How do we extract text from the NER? So we can just go to this place and go with if my choice is equal to NER for URL, then st.subheader. I'm going to call it as analyze test from URL, right? We're going to analyze text that we extract from URL. That's the basic idea behind that. If I save it, I'm going to change it and then bring that test here. So we are going to use Beautiful Soup to help us extract all the various tests from any URL that you supply. So let's see how to do that. So I'm just going to go to the top of our file and then import our packages for web scraping, which is here, right? So we're going to go with from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. You can also use request in case you want to write with Beautiful Soup. So here I can just go with something very basic. So from URL lib.request import URL open, right? URL open. Here you can also use request, right? You can also import request and then use request also, right? But let's use URL lib. That is the basic idea. Now we need to create a function to extract all the various tests from our page, right? So in case you go to this particular URL or website or any website, so the tests that we extracted are usually in p tags, right? So that is the basic idea. So if I go to inspect this particular text that we have, most of the text there is in a p tag, right? A paragraph tag. So we'll be using that same idea to extract or find all the p tags and then combine the text within the p tags and then use it to do a summarization so that all of them are inside p tag, right? Whatever thing that is there is inside the p tag here, Kata is inside the p tag, everything is inside a p tag, as we can see from here, right? So we are going to be extracting all the p tag, right? Perfect. So for something like this, I can just go with, I forgot my, then -p, don't know whether I can see it. It's going to extract all the various p tags, and all the various p tags have our text there, right? Some of them are empty, some of them have our text. That's what we are trying to extract there. So this is not JavaScript, this is Python. So let's move on to what we are doing. Okay, so I just come back to this place and create a function to do that. So let's call that def get test. Then we're going to pass in our URL, our raw URL. We can call it as raw URL. Then from here I can just create page. It's called to URL open. We're going to pass in our raw URL. Then we can just go with soup. It's called to Beautiful Soup. So here we can actually pass in our page, and then you can put in an LSML, that stuff, right? You can ignore it or can bring it there. Any of them is going to work. Then the final one is that you're just going to go with fetch test, right? So this fetch test is going to be a collation or a list comprehension of all the various p tags that I showed previously, all the various p tags. So we'll be trying to fetch all the various p tags and then join them together. So it's going to be this dot join. Then we're going to use something to put them together. Let's go to that map. There's going to be using lambda. So lambda p. Then we're going to pick in all the p tags. So p dot test. Right, they're picking all the tests from the p tag. Then we're going to go with soup dot find all p tag. So that's the basic idea. So it's going to fetch all the various stuff. So let me explain this code. So we are going to go to our page that we have here. We're going to find all the p tags, get all the tests, then put them together and then join them, right, with this particular function. Then you can return our fetch test. That's the basic idea. So we can just put in st.cache here to make it faster. So st.cache. Perfect. So now let's see how this function is going to work for us. right? So it's going to fetch the p tag. So this must be this particular format, right? It's supposed to be in brackets. That's the basic idea. So this is the code for it, right? Very, very interesting. So now let's see how it works. So I'm just going to come back to this location here. Then we are going to create a simple stuff called raw URL, which is going to be st.test input, not test URL, so test input. Then I'm going to pass in to enter URL, right? Then you can supply the URL here. So there are two options here. If we don't give a default value, it's going to give us errors, right? So you have to make sure that you give a default value. So if I go with type here, then let's go with st. So if st.button, let's call it as another something different, or let's call it as extract. Let's pass, right? Or let's bring the particular task that we have. Instead of bringing it as pass, let's make the st dot right. So what are you writing? So we are trying to make sure that we are going to analyze the particular test. So we can call it as our result. It's going to be get test, and you pass in our raw URL, right? And then we can just write our result there. But this is going to give us an error because by default this type here is not a URL. So let's see what I mean. So if I save it now and come back here, it's running, detecting the changes. And if I go with extract, it's going to give us an error because type here is not a URL. So that it's giving us a value error. So how do you solve that? So we can solve it by giving it a default URL or using it in a simple way, a simple format, which is going to be a simple if condition. So let's call it if our raw URL is not equal to type here, then do whatever you want to do. So if I go back, let me indent this one well, and I save it now, it's not going to give us any error because this type here is not a URL. So it's going to see that we are supposed to ignore this particular stuff. So I go with extract, it's still not going to work, right? It's going to come back to the old one without giving us any value error. Perfect, so that everything is working perfectly. Now we can do our stuff. So in the previous one we had a full length and then a short length. So how do we do that? So we can just go with this was length of full test, which can be length. Then we're going to find the result that we are getting from here. We're going to find the length of it. So let's call that result. Right, that's going to be the full length there. That's going to be result, right? Perfect, right? So this is the result there. We are putting it inside the length here. Now let's go and paste in a URL. So this is going to be a simple URL from Wikipedia, or can use any URL. It's going to work. Then let's click on extract. So now it's working perfectly without giving us error because it's a valid URL, right? So it's running perfect. So it has been able to extract the test and giving us all the various tests there. Very, very interesting. So the basic idea is that you're just going to use Beautiful Soup to extract all the p tags, join them together and return it, right? That is how to work on it. Very interesting. Now we have gotten the full length. How do we get the preview length? So we can just go with length of short test, right? You can just do that one by going with something very simple, round. Let's round it, then use the same thing that we have of our result. Then we can divide it, right, to make it not bulky. So I can divide the length by something else, maybe by a value like 50. So instead of me using 50, I want the person himself to select that particular value. So I can supply a different option by coming here and at this place, then go with, let's call it as, let's say, test length, something like this. Then I'll use a normal slider, st.slider, to pass in. So length to preview. Right, then I'll give the value. So let's go with 50 and then the next value. So 50 and let's say another value like let's say 100, right? 50 and 100. So whatever the person slide or choose will be stored inside this test length. I'm going to divide the test length by the result, right? So something very basic. So let's save it now. And then let's come back to this place. We want to preview that particular test, so I can actually use a normal slicing to do that by going it in this particular format, by using this format. So this and then the the length of short test, right? We are using the length of the short test to help us to get it in a minified format, right? So if I save it now, so that our slider has come and then it's working perfectly, but I can actually preview it, right, based on the length. So if I choose, let's say 53, and I extract, it's going to bring very minimal one for us based on the test that you have supplied and based on the length that we have set to preview it to be, right? Perfect. So this is quite small, right? That's the basic idea. It's like even this could not be, this is about Paul Allen, but it couldn't come perfectly well because we set it at 50 to 100. Very interesting and very simple. Now let's see how to work with the entity extraction on this particular test that we have. So we can just go with something like this, summary results, as we had previously. And I'm going to pass in something different, right? Or I can make it like summary docs. So it's slightly different from the first one. Now use Sumi to summarize it. Our test, which was the result test that we have. We can use this, the result test, the full test, which is going to be quite interesting, quite easy. Then we can just go with using docs. They're going to analyze the particular test. So we are trying to, what we are doing is that we are going to extract entities from the summary, not from the full test, right? Otherwise it's just going to be like the previous one. So let's extract a summary from the entities rather from the summary, right? I'm making a lot of mistakes. I don't know why my English is changing today. Then use the analyze function that you created, the analyze test. Then we're going to pass in our summary docs. Perfect. Now I can now pass in my docs to my displacer to render it. So let's call it as HTML, just like we did previously here. The same thing that we had here, right? So we can just copy the same code here because it's the same thing, so that's not tautology. So I can just pass in the same thing here. Right, perfect. So if I save it now, we're going to get the same result that we had previously, right? So we're going to have one that is rewriting the entire full test, and another one that is going to give us the various entities one, right? The various entities. So if I go with extract, it's going to analyze it for us and give us the result. But you realize that you have forgotten something. So it's giving us the extracted test, which is a summary based on the preview. Then it's also analyzing the other one to give us the result for the HTML, for the displacer. So analyzing test, extracting the various entities, and then it's going to display it with displacer and then the Streamlit markdown. Perfect. So that it has been able to give us the right result. So you see that dates has been identified, false has been identified, and everything is working as expected. So we have our original test, which is a summary here. We have the entities that has been extracted and displayed in a very nice format. But the last thing we need to do is to show the length of the entire test, right? So how do we do that? So it can be very simple because we already have the variables here. You can actually use st.info, then you can just pass in the length of the test there, right? So let's go to length of test of full test, and then st.info length of short test. So length of short test, right? That is a basic idea, but let's make it quite nicer. So of this, so it's going to be this. We can just call it as, let's say, length. So let's make it length here. Then let's use this particular format. Pass in the previous format, and then we are done, right? Something very basic. So we have our length and our length here. So this is going to be something like this. So the person must know that this is short length of full test. Then another one is going to be length of short test, right? You can design it as you want. So this is something very basic. So this is the basic stuff there, right? So if I save it now and I come back here, so everything's going to work as expected, right? Without giving us any errors. So if I click on the extract, it's going to extract it perfectly, give us the length, show us the summary, and then show us the various entities so that the length is working here perfectly. And then we also have the summarize test or the preview test. Then you're going to get the summary of the entire stuff, which is having the various entities. So that's the basic idea behind this. So in a nutshell, the first thing that we need is that we're going to import our Streamlit package, which is our main package. Then we will import SpaCy, and then we'll be using SpaCy to do our entity extraction, as well as with DisplayCy, we're trying to get the various entities and then display it in Streamlit. Then the next option is that we are going to be using Gensim and then Sumi to do our summarization. And we created a function to help us with that. Then we also create another function to create an NLP object. Then we use Beautiful to scrap p tags from our test, from any URL that we have, and we created a function to do that, right? Then we just created something very basic for the activities. Then we created individual choices based on the various activities that we have. That's the basic idea. So thank you for watching this tutorial. I know I was rushing, but I hope you have learned something. So if you are not subscribed to this channel, you can also subscribe, and also check the links below for some interesting materials to help you master Python, as well as to master building a web application. Thank you, and stay blessed.